That is what it is. Now, what happened though, to tell you how impacting the resolution was for most of the members who were there, because remember the DNC is represented by in every single state in the union. You know, we have representation. We have state and local officials as well as federal, like congressional people who also serve on the DNC. And so we had, from the resolution committee, we had Ben Jeffers, add his name to it. We had Anthony Graves out of Colorado. This is a black man from Colorado. Add his name to it. And Bell Leon Hong, a large member from Maryland, add his name to it. So, and that was not without my pursuing any additional names.
Wow.
They volunteered to support our resolution, which says a resolution urging the U.S. Congress to transfer a share of the revenues derived from the excise taxes and the duties imposed on petroleum products shipped from the Virgin Islands to the United States.
Quickly, where's that name? Ben Jeffers, where's he from?
Ben Jeffers, Louisiana.
Okay, so we got Louisiana, Colorado, and Maryland.
Gasoline products, petroleum products. I mean, once he sees that, you know, I believe that, you know, there's something in there that he has shared interest in.
Right.
So, you know, I haven't spoken to them, but it's my intention to contact all three of them and thank them personally for joining us in sponsoring the resolution.
Absolutely.
And then basically ask them what inspired them to be this you know, execute this level of support.
And I don't know about Colorado and Louisiana, but you could let the person from Maryland know we got a lot of Virgin Islands down there.
Let me tell you something. When I went to, and this is usually what happens, when I went to the DNC fall meeting in Chicago, Chicago is a beautiful place. I mean, it's some place that for the time that I was there, I enjoyed it. You know, the city is an inspiring city, full of charm, old charm, clean, very clean. The people are very cordial and welcoming, and they want you to spend your money, so they're going to make sure they're on the best behavior. The crime that Chicago have, I really didn't even feel that while I was there.
What, you missed the Cabrini Green tour?
Yes, I did. But I saw some monuments that were impressive. You know, some Stop the Violence monuments, very impressive. But I'm saying I didn't feel that while I was there, which was good. And usually when I attend these meetings, and let me explain something, my going to this meeting was twofold. One, I'm a member of the DNC, and two, I wanted to be able to execute on behalf of Senate President Ronald Russell's initiative on this returning a portion of the gasoline excise tax by petitioning Congress to do so, by showing support by the National Democratic Party. And I wouldn't lie to you, Roy and Hugh. Initially, I was a little bit intimidated by all the pressure that could come on by this far-reaching request from the National Party. And I just, like, stayed front and center, felt, you know, spirited, you know, in every way. And I went into the resolution committee with the intent on answering any and every question that came before me. And I telling you, I stood there because all the previous resolutions, there were questions and there were changes made. And when they said resolution number 8, sponsored by the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, blah, 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 I'm there and no one says anything. And then the chairwoman says, okay, are there any discussions? Any amendments? Blah, blah, blah. Nothing. And she called all those in support. Unanimous. It was unanimous.
Excellent.
It was unanimous. And I said yes. You know, I really felt that yes. And that took me from that. When I attended all my other meetings, I served on the executive committee of the Women's Caucus, and I spoke about the resolution again. And it was well received. And then the Saturday morning before the the entire body voted on the resolutions, I spoke on behalf of the state chair who didn't attend the meeting about the Virgin Islands, because in our Eastern Region caucus, they allow for every state to speak about, the challenges or the accomplishments it's had on behalf with regards to, especially in the realm of campaigning, elections, and, big issues that the states had. And I went up there and I spoke about, we have some voting challenges. We don't vote for the president. We still ain't voting we don't have the right to vote for the president. But it doesn't deter us from pushing our initiatives such as asking Congress to give us back some of this money, blah, blah, blah. And, I publicly thanked Puerto Rico at that time and tell them notwithstanding any rumors or whatever. And then everybody laughed about it. But they also understood the seriousness of this request. And I think we're good to go with it. We were very good to go with it. And I felt so invigorated and so motivated. I came back here feeling nothing on derail this, no matter what. Because I said, and it was funny because I was listening to a talk show and I heard a former senator call and they were talking about the same issue. And the former senator says that, well, something, this ain't the first time that this has been pushed. I pushed it, and we almost got it back in 2004. And I think there was something that, I want to believe it was a hurricane or something. He said that, came into play, and it basically railroaded the effort. Yeah. And then I heard the talk show host saying, well, something, while I support this, I don't think that this is really the best time, the right time. And I sat back and I said, I have to call in because I don't know for a colony of the U.S. whenever is there a right time
to get help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Whenever is it going to be which button we're waiting for them to push? One of the president's big initiative now is the Jobs Act, okay? And we all know the challenges he faced in a Republican Congress, okay? And the Republicans are putting up, they're throwing out all the stops to try to stop President Obama from his initiatives and to stop his re-election. You think the president going to sit back and say, something? Let me wait and see if the Republicans cool long to see if I should introduce this jobs ban. No, he's not. People hurting. Right. When people hurting, that's why people serve, constituents. That's why they serve the people who put them in office, because they have to look at the needs of the majority of the people and initiate, legislation on their behalf. And that is what Senator Russell has done in this instance. Senator Russell determined, as you said earlier, Roy, that, he wasn't just going to sit back with this LEAC, and this was from the very beginning, back in 2007, it was?
Yeah, 2008. It came up
2008. And he said he's going to subsidize it. He thinks that the legislature and his government should subsidize the LEAC. Unfortunately, though, he didn't get the support to push it through the legislature at this time. And so he came back with a different initiative. Trying to do the same thing, short term or long term, in the form of this resolution. Now, the big hurdle, these are both supportive entities, the CSG and the Democratic National Committee on the initiative, okay? And people might say, but it ain't gonna get us nowhere. It gets us a lot of places. Because these two organizations, in and of themselves, have influences. They have members who comprise these organizations. But we have our work cut out for us. I wouldn't tell you that we don't.
Right,
we do. We do, but we need everybody on board. We need everybody on board. We need the delegate on board. We need our governor on board. And we need the entire legislative body on board.
Well, in terms of the legislature, one of the things of progress I've seen is, if you recall, when the WAPA consumer bill was brought up, it pretty much died in the Finance Committee.
Right.
Now, the chair of the Finance Committee in 2008, Senator Positive Nelson. The co-sponsor, the fellow resolution writer in 2011, Senator Positive Nelson. Mm-hmm. Now, their roles are reversed in terms of minority and majority, but they both recognize we need this. So that can happen within the Senate. It went from dying in committee to being sponsored by a new initiative, the excise tax being sponsored by Senators Russell and Nelson, supported by the legislature. I say the others, elected officials, need to get on board. It's no time for fooling around. Like I said, otherwise this will just be archaeological dig where people used to live. Because without energy that we can afford, we gone.
And I think you got a little bit of history to share with us.
Right, right.
He was showing all,
Well, the history is just to show that what Senator Russell is doing has been done in the past, as far back as in the 1920s by a fellow native son of St. Thomas, which is Francis Rothschild, that he petitioned Congress, the United States, to do just what Denmark did when the Virgin Islands was under the Danish ruling, that when the Virgin Islands needed help, Denmark kick in and support the Virgin Islands. And he went to Congress and tell the United States Congress that, hey, look, we just had a hurricane not too long ago, and when we had need help from Denmark, they helped us, and it's likewise that you own us now. Not that you need to, you have to help us. So when Senator Russell was on this thing with the WAPA Consumer Act, and people was down in it, some of the people are saying it's a political strategy to get back in the Senate, Some people didn't take it seriously, but now it's more than biting us, it's eating us up.
Let me tell you how serious energy is. Just one example. As you know, I have a good appetite, and it ain't just chicken that got me here, So I stopped into Ivan Ice Cream, and in our discussion, he told me that in January, his utility bill, and he got to keep going to keep his ice cream, was $2,600, and his most recent one was $4,800. Now, that's a ridiculous increase. Of course, I try to contribute by getting.
The size of his operation didn't change, right?
No.
So it's all contributed to
the layout, to the energy. So I try to help my best by buying some extra ice cream, but he need a lot more than me.
And your belly will be real big by the time you try to eat all the ice cream he could produce.
On behalf of the Virgin Islands, I'm going to do my part.
But Carol, with all this issue with energy, we supposed to have money coming from the United States to help us with energy, with this, what they call it, the money that the President of the United States was sending down. Our funds and all this stuff to help businesses like Ivan Armstrong, but when you see that our government could help people like Diageo and Home Depot, these are $1 million businesses, and our small businesses are being hurt, and these are the ones that actually kept us alive with the tax. When these huge companies get these tax break and our small, this is a history of ice cream making from father, grandfather,
going back several generations,
coming all the way down. We're looking at Island Dairy. Well, they supply us from way back when, and now we're seeing these.
And the birds going over the cliff too.
Closing down, and our government can't see that coming on board with this issue here to get some of that money back. It's rightful our money. It states in the Organic Act. Last week we had a caller call in and try to debate the history that I was given, that is not how they know it. Because you learn something in school, it does not mean that is right. I grew up hearing Christopher Columbus discovered the United States. And when I really researched, Christopher Columbus didn't discover squat. Okay, so pay attention and read and come back and give us the information that you find that our government is responsible for